We should go live right about now. Okay, so three, two, one, and done. Okay, save, and we are live. First, just let me, copy URL and I will share this. Share and this I will also share. Okay, so okay, so shall we start? Okay,
Sure.
so वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल ऑफ द व्यूअर्स। आप सब लोग जैसे कि मुझे जानते ही होंगे दैट आई एम योर होस्ट मोहम्मद अनशा, and today we have with us a really great dignity here, namely advocate ateeb kanth, who is currently practicing law in JK High Court. तो अगर हम इनके एक्सपीरियंस की बात करेंगे, आई विल से दैट ही इज़ एन ऑलराउंडर, एज ही हैज़ studied law as in Punjab, Haryana, as well as in Chandigarh. He has also worked he has also worked as a law researcher under various Supreme Court judges as well, so that's a very big achievement. And he frequently visits Supreme Court as well, तो इनका Supreme Court से लेना देना रहता है ही। और तो और इनका जो एरिया ऑफ एक्सपर्टीज की अगर हम बात करें, ही इज़ अ रिट लॉयर, जिसका मतलब है दैट इनके जो केसेस हैं दैट मेनली रिवॉल्व अराउंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स एंड some criminal appeals as well. और तो और he is currently, अगर हम इनकी बात करें, he is currently working on a book which is on which was on आप खुद ही कहेंगे what was that act?
Juvenile Justice Act.
जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट, एग्जैक्टली। सो ये जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट पर एक बुक पे भी काम कर रहे हैं। सो हैट्स ऑफ टू यू, क्योंकि यू आर अ ग्रेट पर्सनैलिटी, और तो और इतना ज़्यादा काम करना और इतना सब कुछ करना, दैट रियली मैटर्स अ लॉट। सो अगर हम आपसे बात करें, आपने कहा हमें दैट यू आर एन अम्यूकस। सो जब हो एक हाई कोर्ट करता है किसी को अपॉइंट एज एन अम्यूकस, सो आप कहेंगे दैट व्हाट इज योर वर्क, कि आप क्या काम करते हैं?
See, basically, the lawyers work for the cause of justice always. So they have a great role in the society where they work. Their commitment is to justice.
Exactly.
Wherever there is threat to injustice, the role of a lawyer comes. May it be social justice, economical justice, or any other justice. So for that matter, the court itself is an institution which helps to impart that justice, which ultimately grants that justice. But it is the work of a lawyer to bring before the court right facts, whether those facts are against your client, whether that law is against your client, in order to give the correct position so that a just conclusion is arrived at.
Yes.
When we talk of an amicus, amicus itself means who's the friend of the court. At times, court is very busy. The judges are very busy with their work. When they want to consider any issue, they appoint a friend of the court and tell him to suggest, recommend few measures so that court reaches at a just conclusion. So that is one part of it. But the major part is the ultimate goal is to achieve justice.
Okay, so that was really great to hear from you। और तो और आप खुद भी एक you are a I can say a really great personality as well। तो आपके जो ये words हैं, they are really great to hear from a delegate like you। तो आपने जो है, you told us that as an amicus you worked in several cases।
Yes, it was a couple of times court appointed me amicus. One was a matter pertaining to the public, those lavatories. There we had to sort of present our report, and in fact, it is sub judice. And as far as this mental health is concerned, which is, I think, today's topic,
Yes.
I would say that this Mental Health Act, which has been brought into force in India in 2017, was a changeover, as there was an earlier act in 1987, but it lacked certain aspects, and those aspects are now covered by the new legislation. I would just give you a brief, uh, I would say, account of how all it happened. I'll share a story with you.
Yes.
It was way back in 2018. A person came to us saying that his brother is mentally ill and he is suffering very badly. And he said that when we went to the hospital, we have one tertiary, I would say that that's the only hospital we have in the province of Kashmir, which is in Ranawari. Everybody knows it. So he said that it was only for 2 days they took care of him, and then they bundled him back in the ambulance and sent him back to the home. So nobody was taking care of that person, nor the family was able to take care of that person. He required special treatment. So in that scenario, in that situation, what we suggested him to go to a court, a specified court, as per the mandate of the act. And when he approached the court, it was the magistrate whom he approached at the first instance, because I'll tell you what all is prescribed in the act. When he approached the magistrate passed an order that this person be provided mental health care. But that order was not implemented in letter and spirit the way it should have been implemented. Again, he went to the hospital. 1 week they kept him. After 1 week, again he was sent back. Now, where to go? In such situation, when he approached our office, I suggested his brother that there is a procedure prescribed under the Act which has not been implemented, which has not been taken into account. On that point, we filed a writ petition under Article 226 in the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. On the first instance, when the case was taken up, the court formulated a committee, a medical expert committee, and told them to look into the fact whether this person really is mentally ill, because that is the first and the foremost step. Yes. That person was examined by a board, and board of doctors came to the conclusion that yes, this man is in need of care and protection in terms of mental health. Then right away, he was admitted in the hospital and care was being provided to him. And even now he's in the hospital. It's a great achievement. The care is being given to him. But the court did not stop here. See the majesty of the court. See the system, how it works. The court said, no, we'll not stop here. He's being given treatment. That's fine. But we'll have to take into account the plight of those people who are suffering, who require the treatment under this act. So it was the Honorable Chief Justice who took the initiative and converted this petition into a public interest litigation.
Yes.
And was placed before the two judges of the High Court. And on the next date, on the next occasion, the court issued notice not only to the Kashmir province, to the Jammu, to Ladakh, since now it's a union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh was also included. And I believe on the last date of hearing, they were told to file status report indicating that what all they have done till now in order to implement the Mental Health Act 2017. Right?
Yes.
Now, before proceeding ahead, I would just give you a brief account of it, that how all it happens.
Yeah.
See, we are saying that there was an act in 1987. One act was made in 1987. It was not sufficient. So there arose a need to bring a new legislation. Before going to the Mental Health Act, I'll just narrate a very small kind of note which says that what is a right to health. You see, these days debate is going on that what is right to health, whether we Indians have right to health or not, as enshrined in the Constitution. But if you ask me, I say no. Subject to one caveat, that is that Article 21, which says right to life to every citizen of India. When we say right to life, we presume that right to mental health is a concomitant of right to life.
Exactly.
But nowhere it's prescribed that it's an absolute right. You can go to court and enforce it. No, it is not prescribed. 7 decades of independence, still we don't have a right to health. You see, right to health, where we can directly enforce right to health. Right, we have right to education. It was inserted. Right to education we have. We at a particular level of age, we have right to education. Similarly, this right to health, we don't have as such. Now, when we say right to health, this right to health, what does it mean? It would mean that state is under duty, or we would say state is duty bound to provide you health, which it is not. But you see, at the same time, state, the country is taking initiatives. Country is taking initiatives. How? You have that PMJAY, that Pradhan Mantri, that Yojana, which
Yes.
is around up to 5 lakh healthcare cover. You may be familiar with that.
Yes.
And everybody else is familiar with that. So that is one step in that direction. We have National Health Mission. You see, those things are just steps in these direction. But besides that, there is a constitutional framework also. Like I told you about Article 21.
Yes.
There is one more article which comes under the directive principles of state policy. So they are not enforceable, but it casts duty upon the state to enforce them. In that it says that state has a duty to raise the nutrition levels and the standard of health of people. And you must be aware of a provision in article which is 243G, which endows duty on municipalities, panchayats, to strengthen the public health care. Like we see in Delhi. Delhi is the perfect example of that. Mohalla clinics. Where from they emanate? They emanate from this article. Now, the standard of healthcare is raising in India, but we cannot be complacent that the healthcare has been provided and it's a right. No. At the same time, I say that it is raising, but it has to raise to a level where nobody would be left out. Right? This is as far as the health is concerned. Right to health is concerned.
So
Now
my
let's
question
come back on
was
the please.
that you told us that you had worked as an amicus, okay, and you had worked in several, like environment, traffic, and mental health. So will you say that कि मतलब आपका mental health में जो आपने काम किया था, will you share our experience, some experience of yours to us about that?
And that's what I'm saying. See, I narrated this experience of a person whom we made to
Yes.
come before the court, and we got something for
Something.
him, not only for him. Now the journey has begun to get something for all of the people of the state, of the
Yes.
union territory.
We say na
Because
that
now
a
court has,
small step, is a big step
yes,
for the mankind. It's like that.
absolutely. Now it has become a big step. Now let's see, since the matter is sub judice, the court, the apex court of the union territory, is cognizant of the issue. Now they are taking the measures. Now I am telling you that how it all happened, and it is an information for all who view it.
Yes.
Because now we can say that how it happened. It has happened earlier also. Can you just give a break here?
Yeah, no.
2 seconds.
Okay, definitely, that's fine, definitely. Okay, so okay.
I'm sorry for this.
There are
This
no
interruption.
worries. Okay.
We can just begin again.
Yes. Okay, so we were talking on, the Mental Health Act.
Yes. Now I'm just giving you a brief background that how it all started, and it is very informative for all those who view it.
Yes.
Now, firstly, what happened when there was the Mental Health Act of 1987? There was a convention on rights of persons with disabilities and its optional protocol was adopted on 13 December 2006 at United Nations headquarters in New York. And it was in May 2008, and India ratified it on 1st October 2007. Thereafter, Parliament of India passed this act. Now, what was the object of this act? Object was to provide mental health care and services. Not only mental health care and services for the person with mental illness. Now, who would be the person having mental illness? I'll come on that also, but I'm just telling you the object. And it was to protect and promote and fulfill the rights of such persons during delivery of such mental health services. Now, who would be the mentally ill person? Who would determine it? In the earlier Act of 1987, no provision as such. In this Act, provision was made. They said the person who will be detected as mentally ill, it would be based on certain medical indications, internationally certified medical indications. It would not be that a person would be at his whims to decide that this man is mentally ill. No, they said standards would be international standards. And they also said that substance use disorders, like somebody falls prey of drugs, narcotics, or psychotropic substances, then the board will be able to decide whether this person is in need of mental health care or not. So that was also included. Now, as I told you, how we started with a case where this all happened and which is still pending in the court. And I would say that it was a great achievement, undoubtedly.
Yes.
And I think that this was for the first time that this kind of thing happened in our union territory, and it reached up to the level of top court in the union territory. See, what happens is the act in itself prescribes that if it is a duty, the chapter 13 of the act says how it is to be implemented and how it is to be taken into account. Yes. Section 100 says, I'll just give a brief account. It is very useful for all the viewers.
Yes.
As such, I am saying that the chapter 13 itself prescribes that how this act is to be implemented. Section 100 begins with it. Section 100 to section 102. Section 100 says it will be a duty of a police officer of a jurisdiction. Suppose a jurisdiction of a police station. A SHO in a police station, it would be a duty to look that if some person is mentally ill, or he's wandering on the road, or he's seen on the roadside, or he's in some home who is in need of this mental health care, he would take that person. We must have seen that sometimes we see a mentally ill person wandering in a street.
Yes.
You must have also seen it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, at that time, it is the duty of the police officer to take that person to the nearest magistrate having the jurisdiction.
Yes.
When he takes him before the magistrate, now comes the section 101 into the
Account.
place. Yes, it comes into place. 101 says police officer to report to a magistrate. When the situation is brought to before the magistrate has a duty. Duty is cast upon him under section 102 to order assessment of this person. Like it happened in the case of that person whom I was talking about.
Yes, exactly.
So at that time, magistrate has to see that his assessment. He can write to the medical officer of the concerned hospital to look into it and see whether this person is in need of mental health care act, whether he's in need of that care or not. Now, after that, once he finds that the person is in need of this service, he has to authorize that medical officer to deal in accordance with law. Now you would say, what is this law?
Yes.
Law is itself prescribed from 100. Sorry, not 100. Law is prescribed in section 18 to section 21. This section 18 to 21 is very, very important. Now, magistrate won't do anything. He would only say that the person who is mentally ill is to be dealt in accordance with the law. And the law is prescribed in section 18. I would suggest that section 18, 19, 20, and 21 must be taught in every psychiatric hospital. as and when it is taught there, they will be able to know what all it provides. I'm sure they must not be knowing it.
Yes.
It is to be publicized in every hospital, in every mental hospital. Now, I would read it very quickly, and it will be recorded also, and
Yes.
everybody else would also know,
Yes.
because the provisions itself are very clear and lucid.
So
And
before
in
you start,
every
so
yes,
firstly, I will be thanking you because people like you and law
my pleasure,
practitioners like you, because
pleasure.
सबको एक बहुत ही बड़ा stereotype है these laws, as you might know, but there
The
are
laws
people
are very
like
beneficial.
yes,
Laws are very beneficial, but they're not put into the proper place.
exactly.
See, laws are made for public only.
Hmm,
What is the purpose of a law? You see, most of the people must not be knowing it. When a law is drafted,
hmm,
it is to be debated.
hmm.
They refer it on the website. They say these people may give it their suggestions before passing a law. And then deliberations, declarations on a particular law, which perhaps nowadays it's missing.
Hmm.
We don't have such discussions, discourses in the parliament. And maybe in some laws I have seen, I have witnessed that there are discourses, there are debates before passing any law. So that is why I'm saying these section 18, coming back to our topic,
Yes, come
18 to
on.
22, yes, 18 to 22 is very, very important. And I think every psychiatric, this, we call him, what we call the psychiatrist, we call him
Psychiatrist,
psychiatrist. Every psychiatrist must be knowing of these sections. I would just quickly read it, what it says.
yes,
It
definitely,
will be for
please.
the yes, for the purpose of making people aware. This
Yes,
would be sort of an awareness.
yes, exactly.
18 section 18 of Medical Health Care Act 2017 provides right to access mental health care. Number one, it says every person shall have a right to access mental health care and treatment from mental health services run or founded by the appropriate government. Appropriate government here would mean the government of a state, as in case of Union
Yeah,
Territory of
yeah,
Jammu
yeah.
and Kashmir. This is one. Now, 18.2 says the right to access mental health care and treatment shall mean mental health services of affordable cost. See, here it uses affordable
Affordable
cost
cost.
so that it's not a burden on the pocket of a poor man,
Yes.
right? And it says of good quality, available in sufficient quantity, accessible geographically. We have only one hospital here. See, he says without discrimination on the basis of gender, orientation, religion, culture, caste, social or political beliefs, class, disability, or any other basis, and provided in manner that is acceptable to the person with mental health and their families and caregivers. See, three things have been mentioned here. He says that it should be acceptable to that person. Sometimes you must have heard that वो किसी को करंट दे देते हैं. You must have
The
heard.
shock
We
chair.
have watched in the movies. Yes, shock
Yes,
दे देते हैं.
yes.
He says here, you see, it has taken care of that situation also. He says that is acceptable to the person with mental illness. Not only him, his family and his caregivers also. We have to consult them. उनको भी पहले पूछना पड़ेगा. Then
So
only you can give that treatment.
हमें उनकी
You
ये
see,
चाहिए एक तरीके से उनकी acceptance
consent.
that consent exactly.
Exactly. If a person is in a position to say, yes, I want this treatment, then only. If he says, no, I don't want this treatment, you cannot force him. Or his family members can tell you, no, you don't give him. Maybe his father, his brother, his mother, his anybody else, sister, he would say, no, we don't want him to get subject to this treatment. This is a safeguard. Then the third, 18th third says, the appropriate government shall make sufficient provisions as may be necessary for a range of services required by persons with mental illness. Number 4 says, without prejudice to the generality of the range of the services under subsection 3, such services shall include. Now, what these services will include? Number 1, provision of acute mental health care services such as outpatient and inpatient services. See, in our case, our client, this petitioner, he used to go there. There was no outpatient service. भगा देते थे 2 दिन रख के, he used to bundle back to home. अब वो किसको बोले? It covers that. Now the B part says provisions of halfway homes, sheltered accommodations, supported accommodations as may be prescribed. See, in our case, what happened? That man was kept in his brother's house. Brother's house में क्या था? Brother had his own family. This person who was mentally ill, he suffered from hepatitis B.
Okay.
It aggravated his situation.
Yes.
When he suffered from hepatitis B,
B.
they told him that now he may be a carrier to his children. So family सारी घबरा गई. उन्होंने कहा हम क्या करें? See, this is the provision. He says halfway homes, sheltered accommodation for these people. उस situation में वो कहाँ जाएं? Now the C part says provisions for mental health services to support family of persons with mental illness. अब देखिए, खुदा ना करे किसी कोई mentally ill हो जाता है, he has a family to support.
Yes.
Who would take care of the family? So in that situation, it is covered. Now the D says hospital and community-based rehabilitation establishments and services as may be prescribed. E part says provisions for child mental health services. See, now one more branch will come. Child health. अब जो बच्चा है, the infancy is having some mental problem. That is taken care of by this. अच्छा. Now it says the fifth clause of section 18 says appropriate government shall integrate mental health services into general health care services at all levels of health care, including primary, secondary and tertiary health care, and in all health program run by appropriate government. कहते हैं इस चीज को आप इंक्लूड कीजिए सब जगह, चाहे वो प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर है आपका, सेकेंडरी है, टेरिशरी है. मतलब इसका ये होता है, प्राइमरी मींस जो आपका एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है, सेकेंडरी वुड बी जो तहसील में है, टेरिशरी वुड बी जो रूरल एरिया में है. ये कहता है तीनों जगह यू ऑपरेट. ये नहीं कि आप एक ही जगह ऑपरेट करेंगे. You see how it has safeguarded.
It has accountable all the circumstances.
It has brought into its ambit entire district. Yes. Where it would include tertiary. जैसे होता है सब डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल, कहता है वहां भी लगाओ. फिर होता है आपका ब्लॉक मेडिकल, वहां भी लगाओ, ब्लॉक पे भी लगाओ. Now B part says provide treatment in a manner which supports persons with mental illness to live in the community with their families. You see, he talks of that support system also. And says ensure long-term care in mental health establishments for treatment of mental illness shall be used only in exceptional circumstances for as short duration as possible and only as a last resort when appropriate community-based treatment has been tried and shown to have failed. D part says ensure that no person with mental illness, including children and older persons, shall be required to travel long distances to access mental health services, and such services shall be available close to the place where a person with mental illness resides. अब देखिए ये कहता है कि जो मैं आपको कह रहा हूं, प्राइमरी, सेकेंडरी एंड टेरिशरी सब जगह इसको पहुंचा दो, so that उसको long distance travel ना करना पड़े. You see how beneficial it is, how benevolent it is. Now it says ensure that the minimum mental health services run or funded by government shall be available in each district. I don't think we have here in each district this facility.
Yes.
It is a cause of concern. That is why that matter is sub judice in the High Court. Maybe it will take care of it. Now let's see what reply they'll file. Accordingly, we'll see the result. अच्छा, उसके बाद देखिए. I'll not read this all now. I'll briefly say you, which is very, very important. उस चीज का मैं बताऊंगा आपको. The seventh says persons with mental illness living below the poverty line, whether or not in possession of a below poverty line card, or who are destitute or homeless, shall be entitled to mental health care treatment and services free of any charge and at no financial cost at all mental health institutions run or funded by the appropriate government and at other mental health establishments. देखिए ये क्या कहता है? कहता है कि कार्ड की जरूरत नहीं है that he is BPL because maybe a person he has not got the card. अब जितनी देर वो कार्ड बनाएगा, it would take a lot of time.
Yes.
So it says despite that he is entitled free of cost. Yes. He has not to pay a single penny. But let's analyze whether reality में ऐसा होता है कि नहीं.
Yes.
Is it all happening or not?
That is the $1 million question.
Yes. Now, you see, we have to first know what is there. If every psychiatrist is aware of it, he would act accordingly. When he's unaware of it, how he'll act?
Yes.
Obvious. I would suggest I would suggest that it should be pasted in every psychiatric hospital
Yes.
as a do and do not to do. It
Yes.
should be pasted there.
As a do
Wide
and do.
publicity of this. Yes, wide publicity in every newspaper, on every radio of these things. And I think the 10th, this October, which is going to be the mental health day,
Day.
mental world mental health day,
Day.
on that day, it should be narrated on every radio channel,
Radio.
on every
Yes.
television, so that
Yes.
it reaches out to the people, it reaches out to the persons who are involved with this, who are interested in this. Now it says, the 10th कहता है, without prejudice to the generality of a range of services under the subsection 3 of section 18, the appropriate government shall notify essential drug list, and all medicines on the essential list shall be made available free of cost to all persons with mental illness at all times at the health establishment run or founded by the appropriate government, starting from the community health centers and upward in the public health system. He says, जो भी drugs जरूरत हैं, they should be given free of cost. अब आप जाइए, in case of our client, he went to the hospital, his brother went to the hospital, they said, we don't have these drugs, go and purchase it from the market. So that time, a poor person, he cannot afford drugs.
Yes.
Act itself mandates, he says, you go and get drugs free from there, whether they are being given or not, whether the hospital is having sufficient stock of these drugs or not, right? Now the 19, I would say the 19, 18 is, which I have read, 19
Yes.
says that every person with mental illness shall, number one, have a right to live, be part of, and not to be segregated from society.
Okay.
See, this is the social kind of thing.
Yes.
He says he should not be segregated from the society.
Society.
B part says not continue to remain in a mental health establishment merely because he does not have a family or is not accepted by his family or is homeless or due to absence of community-based facilities. I'll narrate one thing here.
Yes.
I have just read, in fact, I have heard it, that earlier the concept was when a person is mentally ill, you segregate him, put him in a room.
Yes.
पागल खाने में डाल दो.
Yes,
Okay?
exactly.
This is the normal conception. But United States of America, England, and Japan, they have moved away from this. They say the mentally sick person is to be rehabilitated,
Yes.
not to be segregated.
Segregated.
You cannot put him in a room and condemn him in a room, in a dark room. It says no. It says you rehabilitate him. So is the import of Section 19. You see how
You know,
correctly it has been drafted.
yes. How thought of
There
it
is
is.
a thought process.
Yes.
When I narrate of Japan, when I narrate of United States, when I narrate of England, so it has been borrowed, and rightly so. You cannot segregate him. Maybe ऐसा होता है that the person comes back. Say, though I'm not a doctor, nor I'm a psychologist, nor a psychiatrist, but still, being a common,
As
having
a
common
human.
sense, yes, I would say that if a person is schizophrenic, that's what it's called in medical terminology, he may rebounce. He may be well at a point of time. Or through medications, he may come out of it. Or somebody is suffering from a depression. Maybe after 1 year, 2 years, he's given a congenial atmosphere and all other things, he gets back to normalcy.
Yes.
So when at the first instance we condemn him, then how he'll become normal?
That will only worsen the condition.
Exactly. And it will be inhuman.
Yes.
When we talk of human rights, it will be inhuman.
Inhuman. Exactly.
Now see the glory of this act, which I am reading. And it's for all people to know. That's why I'm reading it. 19.2 says, where it is not possible for a mentally ill person to live with his family or relatives, or where a mentally ill person is abandoned by his family or relatives, the appropriate government shall provide support as appropriate government, including legal aid, and to facilitate exercise his right to family and living in family home. See, we have legal service authorities. That's a different subject. Sometime we may discuss about that also. That has been also roped in. He says he may be given legal aid. Now, you must be happy to know in every district we have legal service authority. District legal service authority. They take care of such situations. And they are bound to take care of such situations. That's a different subject. Sometime we'll talk about.
We will definitely discuss about that.
Yes. The third part says that the appropriate government shall, within a reasonable period, provide for or support the establishment of less restrictive to community-based establishment, including halfway home groups, and like for people who no longer require treatment in more restrictive mental health establishments. देखिए क्या कहता है? It says कि there are degrees. He says we have to segregate in terms of those degrees. जहां the one who is extremely gone into that mental illness,
Like we call him as
उसके
a
लिए,
psychopath.
yes, उसके लिए the situation will be different. For then who's less, see, these are the degrees. We have to distinguish the degrees. We cannot keep the third degree person with the first degree
With
person.
the first degree, yes, exactly.
Yes, the act takes care of it. And now the 20 is very, very important section of this act. See what it says. It says every person with mental illness shall have a right to live with dignity. This is what Article 21 of our Constitution says. Says every person has right to life with dignity. And this is being fortified by the Act.
By the Act, yes.
Act itself says that every person with mental illness shall have a right to live with dignity. So for that matter, his right is prescribed here also. Though Constitution does not provide it, which I said at the outset.
Yes.
But this Act says so. He says he has right to life with dignity. You cannot take that right of life with dignity.
Yes.
You cannot ill-treat him. You cannot say that pagal ho gaya, you condemn him. No.
Yes.
Now the clause 2 of it says, every person with mental illness shall be protected from cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment in any mental health care. ये क्या बात हुई? इसका मतलब ये है, he cannot be chained, he cannot be cuffed. You must have seen in movies or you must have seen somewhere before.
वहां पर वो हाथ पांव बांध रखे बैठे.
Yes, he cannot be done. और क्या कहता है? And shall have the following rights. Number 1, to live in safe and hygienic atmosphere. See, hospital administration ये कह सकती है कि the person is mentally ill. इसको कोई भी पानी पिला दो, इसको किसी भी unsafe जगह रख दो,
मतलब किसी भी बर्तन में खाना खिला दो.
Yes, that is not to be done because the Act says so. Hygienic environment, to have adequate sanitary conditions, to have reasonable facilities for leisure, recreation, educational and religious practices, to privacy also, for proper clothing as to protect such person from exposure of his body to maintain his dignity. You see how beautifully it is worded, and these words are to be taken into action. Right? He says that to have adequate provision for living in a community, to have adequate provision for wholesome food, hygiene se leke food tak, food se leke clothing tak, all things should be taken into account.
Yes.
Right? 21 clause 1 says, every person with mental illness shall be treated as equal to the person with physical illness in the provisions of all health care, which shall include the following. Number 1, there shall be no discrimination on any basis, including gender or his orientation. Number 2, emergency facilities, emergency services from mental illness shall be of the same quality and availability as those provided to the person with physical illness. Okay? The third thing is, person with mental illness shall be entitled to use of ambulance services in same manner, extent, as quality as provided to the person with physical illness. See, in our case, also the same problem. When the person was bundled back, किसी ने ambulance नहीं दी. His brother was called. He was told, just ले जाओ जी इसको. ले जाओ जी. कहाँ से ले जाएं? क्या करें? Poor people. You see, these things are covered by this.
Yes. So now, firstly, I might interrupt you right there. So,
I'm just finishing it.
I'll okay, definitely. Then finish.
Yes. The clause D says that living condition in health establishment shall be of the same manner and extent and quality as provided to persons with physical illness. There should be no discrimination among the two. One cannot say ये दिमाग से खराब है तो इसके लिए कुछ नहीं. No, he is to be treated at par with the other persons. Lastly, it says any other health services provided to persons with physical illness shall be provided in same manner and extent and quality to the person with mental illness. You see how great the Act itself is.
Yes.
Now the question is whether it is being implemented in reality or not.
Yes.
For that we have moved one motion in the court. It is still sub judice. Let's see what is the outcome of that. How court directs them, and more important will be this: that how they respond to it.
Yes.
In case of our client, these things were not done.
Done.
That is why we moved the court. Once we moved the court, since then the petitioner is being taken care of. I would say it. Petitioner is being taken care of. Now the question is
So now,
whether this act is being implemented or not. That the time will tell. I was to tell you that these are the provisions. This is the legislation which is to be implemented. Right?
so I was talking that as being myself, मैं खुद कह रहा था, मुझे इतना पता नहीं थी कि you told and you gave us a I can say really valuable information about this law. So this act, actually this mental health act, and
Right.
I am really amazed कि एक person who is mentally unhealthy, उसके लिए क्या क्या रखा है लॉ ने, एंड from its food to its social care, everything has been taken care of, everything has been done. And as you said कि मतलब जो उसका आगे होगा, whether it is being implemented or not, that's another question, but these things are there. The thing is that these things are there. So now my
Law is
question
there.
is, yes, but now my question is basically that what do you think, according to law, what makes a person mentally unhealthy? As you said that there are degrees, so how?
Certainly.
Yes.
You see, you cannot have a yardstick measuring that what constitutes his mental illness. There are certain medical conditions. That is why they have said the section 3 and 4 of this act describes mentally ill person. That section itself, the definition itself is inclusive. It cannot be a certain definition.
Definition. Okay.
That 1 + 1 is 2. It
Two,
is not
no.
that.
Yes.
It says there are international standards by virtue of which they can come to a conclusion that yes, this man is suffering from mental illness. And now then is the degree, that to what extent he is mentally ill, what treatment he requires. See, I told you, when we approached the Honorable High Court, at the first instance, the Honorable Judge right away said that constitute a board of experts.
Yes.
And give us a report. What ailment he is suffering.
Suffering.
The report came that he is suffering from this ailment. So a report came only and only when the experts on the subject analyzed and examined that person.
Yes.
And they came to the conclusion, and that conclusion was drawn. See, when there's an expert opinion, the expert opinion is on the basis of a source. This source is international standards. They have been set standards. That this condition, this symptom would mean a person is mentally ill. Like I told you, that if somebody is involved in narcotics, his condition is that at one point of time he may become mentally ill.
Yes.
So the definition is inclusive.
Yes.
It cannot be exhaustive. See, besides that, I want to just share with you and with your viewers also that, you see, when we talk of the health system, let's talk about the general health system.
General health system, yes.
You see, general health system, when we say, the health itself is a state subject.
States.
You know what state subject means? I would just make it clear to you. State subject means that there are 3 lists in the Constitution on which laws can be made. Few things are that on which state only makes a law.
Yeah.
Few things are that on which center makes law. Few things are that concurrent list. They're both center as well as the state makes law. When it comes to the health, it is the state who has to make a law on the subject. Right?
Okay. So, yes.
You got my point?
Yes, exactly.
Now the fact of the matter is, once this is a state subject, but still there are few aspects which have been taken care by the center. Like we talk of the Mental Health Care Act.
Yes.
It was drafted by the Parliament itself. It was brought into account by the Parliament itself. Ultimately, it's the Parliament who makes the law.
Yes.
So now, who has to take care of it? State has to take care of it. Now, we have seen in our if I would discuss with you the 15th Financial Commission report, which is from 2021 to 2026. In that report also, it was revealed that there's an acute shortage of workforce and infrastructure in the healthcare system. And you will be surprised to know WHO has fixed some norms. WHO has fixed some norms. He says that for 1,000 people, at least for 1,000 people, there should be one doctor.
Okay.
You see, in order to have a better
Better.
healthcare.
Yes,
See, this is the minimum.
minimum.
This is the minimum. I'm not talking about the max. I'm
Max.
saying minimum.
Minimum.
Minimum hona chahiye. For 1,000 people, there
People,
should be
there should
one
be one.
doctor. But in our India, you'll be surprised. For 1,511, there is one doctor.
Wow.
For 1,511 people, there is one doctor.
One doctor.
So 511, we are exceeding.
Yes.
This is the minimum.
Minimum.
I'm talking the minimum
Yes,
thing.
exactly. This is the minimum.
Right?
Yes.
Now see where our healthcare is. You can analyze where our healthcare is.
So I might interrupt you right there. So I'm really sorry, but I might check the comment section as well. See if the
please, please.
yes, yes. So okay, okay. Let's see. So there is comment that please use Hindi language if we can.
Yes,
Little
that's why
bit.
I'm just trying to.
Yes,
Yes.
that's why. And there is host. Okay, okay. There are some. Um, yes, okay. Read the comments as well. Okay, and now yes, the main problem is that they are talking about talk in Hindi a lot because
Right.
so
I'll
it can
just do
go
that.
through
देखिए,
with them.
yes, देखिए, मैं ये कह रहा था जो हमारा रेशो है हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम जो है दी रेशो सेट बाय वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है वो ये कहता है कि 1,000 लोगों के लिए एक डॉक्टर होना चाहिए मिनिमम मगर हमारे इंडिया में 1511 लोगों के लिए एक डॉक्टर है राइट यू कैन हम इससे देख सकते हैं कि हमारा हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम कहां पे है
yes.
अब देखिए वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कहता है कि 5 बेड मिनिमम होने चाहिए 1,000 लोग के लिए 5 बेड हॉस्पिटल में 5 बेड होने चाहिए 1,000 लोग के लिए मगर हमारे यहाँ क्या है 0.55% के लिए 0.55 बेड है हमारे लिए 1,000 लोगों के लिए अब आप खुद अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं सो कहाँ कितना नीचे है how below it is
हमारा स्टैंडर्ड मतलब जो हमारा स्टैंडर्ड
इज वेरी लो यस यस इट इज वेरी लो अब देखिए आपको ये जान के हैरानी होगी कि जो हमारा जीडीपी है जो हमारा जो होता है जीडीपी व्हेन वी फ्रेम अ बजट though this is economy I'm not an economist but still for the sake of understanding it I'm telling you जो जीडीपी होती है उसका एक्सपेंडिचर होता है ना एक्सपेंडिचर व्हाट वी फिक्स एट द टाइम ऑफ मेकिंग अ बजट हम सिर्फ 1% जीडीपी का स्पेंड करते हैं हेल्थ केयर पे ओनली एंड ओनली 1% और दिस हैज बीन नरेटेड बाय दिस फाइनेंशियल कमीशन जो अभी 15 फाइनेंशियल कमीशन उन्होंने कहा कि 1% हम स्पेंड करते हैं वेरा 1% नहीं होना चाहिए तो दिस इज अ लार्ज पॉलिटिकल और आई वुड से पॉलिसी डिसीजन
national concern.
This is a national concern. So, ye to, the people who are at the helm of affairs, they have to take care of it.
Yes.
When we are spending 1% on the healthcare, how we would expect, हम कैसे expect करेंगे कि हमारा healthcare अच्छा होगा?
बिल्कुल.
You see, आप let's not talk about the national. आप चले जाइए maternity hospital में. We have one great maternity hospital. Though it has now been, इसको थोड़ा सा इन्होंने ठीक किया है, but आप देखिए the condition. No doubt workload वहाँ पे बहुत ज्यादा है. But there is shortage of doctors. There is shortage of infrastructure. मैं ये भी नहीं कहूंगा they are not doing anything. But जो भी उनसे
बन पा रहा है that is not sufficient.
वो कर रहे हैं. But वो हमारा स्टैंडर्ड नहीं. That's not what we achieve for. What we aspire for. उससे अच्छा होना चाहिए. आप देखिए, let's talk of SMHS hospital. Let's talk of this SKIMS. So we are saying जो hygiene है, जो facilities है, service है, it should improvise.
Yes.
जब फाइनेंशियल कमीशन की रिपोर्ट में itself उन्होंने कहा है कि जी there is an acute shortage of workforce and infrastructure. It itself indicates where we are.
ये हमें खुद ही दिखाता है अपनी इमेज के मतलब हम कहां पर पहुंच गए हैं.
These are the indicators. These are the indicators. You see now इस सिचुएशन में क्या होता है the class who can afford वो वाला तबका जो अफोर्ड कर पाते हैं they go to a hospital जहां पे they are being charged hugely but service वहां पे वही होती है. For example, if somebody has to operate for removal of stones If he goes to a private hospital, he will be charged, for example, 10,000. अगर वही आदमी गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में जाता है, he'll be charged 1,000 around.
Yes.
So ये disparity नहीं होनी चाहिए. Equal healthcare
For
should
all
be
the.
for all. Like आपने देखा जो मैंने sections अभी पढ़े
Yes.
इस mental health act
बिल्कुल
के,
हाँ.
उसने ये it is mandated. He said equal healthcare.
Equal healthcare.
Irrespective of the fact he comes from rich family, he comes from poor family.
Poor family.
You give the same services.
Same service. So now
इसके लिए देखिए, इसके लिए there is people cooperation also required. आप देखिए पहले टाइम में वो they used to come to hospital, वो पूरी फौज आ जाती थी.
हाँ.
If 2 persons are required, 4 people used to come.
सारे relatives सारे जो होते थे भाई बंधु.
Create a rush. And they used to get those stoves and used to cook the food inside the corridor.
बिल्कुल.
So these all things, the cooperation of people is also required in order to keep hospital clean. अब देखिए, I have come to know that जो ये है इसका hospitals में they are being given food also now. Patients के लिए अच्छा food होता है. So these all things they are to be improved gradually.
मतलब
But though we are
improve हो रही है,
mental
but
health,
it's not up to the mark.
Yes. Now, since we are concerned with the mental health, I have narrated all about the mental health. कैसे क्या है, इसमें क्या क्या provisions हैं, जो implement करने की जरूरत है. और सबसे बड़ी बात, ये provisions, the psychiatrists, the medical experts, they should know these provisions. We as lawyers, we as judges, अगर हम ये जाने, हमें तो जानना ही है. But it's important for those who have to implement it on ground.
Yes.
उनके लिए it is important.
Yeah, it is important. Yes, seriously.
Yes.
Yes, it's absolutely right. So आपकी जो और book थी जो आपने लिखी थी on Juvenile Justice Act.
I'm on it. It is not complete as of now. Though there's an abstract. It has reached to its final stage now.
Okay.
That's altogether different topic. That's called Juvenile Justice Act.
Yes.
You see, इसके लिए भी there's a history behind this Juvenile Justice Act. You must be happy to know that it is also on the international standards. कि कैसे आया Juvenile Justice Act? कैसे आया? There was a protocol in the United Nations. Then all nations resolved so that the rights of children are not impaired. They are not impaired. So in that situation, legislation was brought. Now, when we talk about the JNK and the Ladakh, हमारे situation में we had a different act. After 2009, post 2019, a new act came into existence. And the act which came into existence is called as Juvenile Justice Care Protection of Children Act 2015. This act में क्या है? It has been divided into two parts. पहला, that child in need of care and protection. पहली चीज. दूसरा, child in conflict with law. जिस बच्चे से कोई जुर्म होता है या जिस बच्चे से कोई जुर्म कराया जाता है, he is called child in conflict with law. ठीक है? The one जिसने कोई जुर्म किया, he is called child in conflict with law. As per the act. Yes.
So he is not conflict. Okay. So he's
in conflict with law.
Yes.
Yes. दूसरी situation ये है, child in need of care and protection. वो वाले बच्चे जो किसी वजह से बिछड़ गए हैं, मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ दी फैमिली, उनकी फैमिली सही नहीं थी, उनकी फैमिली में ऐसा माहौल नहीं था जहां उनको प्रोटेक्ट किया जाता, वैगरीज हो गई, और somebody was put into some labor, child labor or something of that sort, right? Those will be branded as, और कोई ये है, this we call this child marriage. In such situations also, that is bracketed into child in conflict. It is child in need of care and protection. And in another situation, child in protection. Who's in conflict with law, right? इसमें दो पहलू हैं, और इसपे it's a very detailed this subject. इसपे I would think that it would be appropriate to talk on this separately.
Yes.
Because इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, इसमें age का है. See, it has been, वहाँ पे क्या रखा गया है कि who would be the child, किसको child कहेंगे? पहले he used to be called as juvenile, but this act says who is the child. Now who will be the child? Child की definition क्या होगी? Now they have said up to 18, up to age of 18, he will be branded as a child. उसका जो सारा है, that will come under the provisions of this Juvenile Justice Act. मगर there has been kept again degrees. What I was talking in the Mental Health Care Act. 16 to 18 bracket जो होगा,
Hmm.
that will be the determining factor. There have been boards have been constituted, but unfortunately in our union territory we don't have boards everywhere. Now
सही.
they are trying to set up the boards, and as per the mandate of the act. And I was given to learn that the rules were not there. Now the rules are being also framed,
बिल्कुल.
so it is picking up. But this act itself is again a beneficial legislation which is for the protection of children, which is very very important.
Hmm.
So इसमें अभी काम चल रहा है, I'm working on it, and I think it would take few months more to make it, to give it a concrete shape. When it will be given a concrete shape, I would definitely share it with you.
Clear. Okay.
Okay?
So यहाँ पर हमारे पास एक क्वेश्चन है that
जी.
sir, do you think whatever government policies all people having its benefits? So मतलब ये this is mainly saying that कि जो government policies है are only are all the people having the benefits of the government policies?
See, we cannot say it right away that all people are having benefit of it. It is not always necessary. और देखिए क्या होता है, the outreach is sometimes less. जैसे हमने ये provisions पढ़े, आप देखिए, say 70% of the people were not knowing about these provisions. कोई बेचारा मेंटल हेल्थ केयर के लिए हकदार है, he is not knowing it. उसको पता नहीं है, उसकी फैमिली इलिटरेट है, they don't know it. या लिटरेट भी है बट उनके पास एक्सेस नहीं है, they didn't know कि क्या प्रोविजंस है. अब देखिए जो पिटिशनर हमारे पास आया, दूसरा ही ऐसा कोई बंदा होगा, उसके पास ऐसा कोई जरिया नहीं है कि he can go and approach, and he's not knowing where to approach. ये भी है. So now it is incumbent on the people who have to implement it. इसकी वाइड पब्लिकेशन, to bring it to the notice. इसके लिए लीगल सर्विस अथॉरिटीज है, जो मैंने आपको कहा. इसके लिए और बाकी एजेंसीज है, who can promulgate it, who can propel it. Okay? So we cannot say it कि सबके तक पहुंचता है कि नहीं.
So there is another question actually. I was reading that, so I'm really sorry if you thought that I was not paying attention.
No, please.
So what is the majority of cases facing here in Kashmir and solutions and laws thereof? मतलब it is मतलब majority of the cases in Kashmir अगर हम बात करेंगे वो किस पर आते हैं?
नहीं, we cannot brand it कि एक ही चीज पे आते हैं. All walks of law, I would say all streams of law are being taken into account. वो तो हर किसी चीज पे आते हैं. You see, चाहे सर्विस मैटर हो, चाहे प्रॉपर्टी रिलेटेड मैटर हो, मैट्रिमोनियल मैटर हो, या आपका कोई भी, you see, everything comes to the court. Whatever law it is, it comes. And I don't think कि सिर्फ एक ही तरह का केस आता है. I don't think so. It's not that.
So there is a
variety of issues.
Okay, there is a diversity
of issues. Yes.
Okay.
And it is human. You see, law is made only. The purpose of the law is to regulate the human conduct.
Yes.
You see, can you imagine a society without laws? No, you cannot. At least in these times, you cannot, because it is necessary to regulate the behavior of a human being. The law is a social instrument which regulates it.
Okay, so let me firstly see the time that we have crossed, if you don't mind. Okay.
Please.
Okay, so let me firstly see the time that we have crossed. Let me go live. Okay. So we have crossed, we are almost at the 1 hour mark. We have basically 2 minutes left. So I think
now we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
The 2 minutes, as I had earlier showed you that it will be only for one
hour. Yes, exactly.
I already given you that 1 hour.
Yes.
So we will just wrap it up in this 1 hour. If you have any question or whatever you want to ask.
Yes. So let me firstly see. So here I don't think that now there is that much questions, because वो सारे कह रहे थे that talk in Hindi. It was a mistake on my part. I blame on it myself. क्योंकि
no. See, the purport of the sections which I have read over, it was required to be read as they are.
Yes.
And loosely I have given you the picture that yes, rights है. मेंटल हेल्थ एक्ट में राइट दिए हुए हैं उन लोगों के लिए जो मेंटली इल है.
बिल्कुल.
अगर इतनी बात किसी को समझ आ गई कि यस राइट है,
तो
our purpose is solved.
Okay.
Our purpose is solved.
Okay.
We have imparted, हमने उनको बता दिया.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so there are, they are really praising you that well done, impressive. They are really praising you that you are, awesome. They are, in the live chat, they are really praising you. So
चलिए ठीक है,
I
good
think
judges.
that, lastly मैं यही कहूँगा that there are, some stereotypes about law and all of the judges and lawyers and law practitioners
But it should
in
be
general.
dispelled. It should
Yes,
be
but it
dispelled.
should be
It
dispelled.
should be
It
dispelled.
should be dispelled like this, like people by the people like you.
And I would just say,
Hmm.
yes, Anil, I would say now the time has come. You would see the new generation. They are well read. They're knowledgeable. They understand. They don't go stereotype. nahi hai. They are able to distinguish between good and bad. And I hope it improves us more and
Yes,
more.
inshallah, it will improve. So,
Yes. With this, we conclude
yes,
this
at last,
session.
I am just going to say that I am
Yeah.
very humbled and very grateful that, a
Pleasure. Pleasure is all
personality
mine.
like you came onto our channel and had a discussion with me. And that's really
Pleasure is all mine.
okay. So, thank you. So,
Okay.
by
Thank
that,
you. Thank
okay,
you.
Assalamu alaikum.